All right, we are going live. Hello, welcome, happy Friday. We are here for another edition, another installment, another go-round of Get a Clue in 52 for Speakers with co-author Sue Mathieson, who's normally in Melbourne, Australia, but today you're actually stateside in Oregon. Is that right, Sue?
Yes, I'm in Eugene.
Okay, fantastic. So welcome to the United States. And of course, Patty Blakesley, the inner business coach, is here with us as well. Patty, it's nice to see you. The news time, we shifted the time. Normally we do these at 11 a.m. Pacific, but because Sue is stateside, we wanted two hours earlier. And so Patty, you're able to join us because of that. So it's really great to see you as always. And by now, everybody knows what we're doing with Get a Clue in 52. There's 5 categories, 52 tips across the categories. And I've been doing this for a couple of years now. This is the 4th tips book that I've created, but it's the first with co-author Sue. And so, Sue, I mention this every week, the voice that you add to the project and the way that you create adhesive and through line for the tips and the way that your voice in the project gives us access to the mentor-mentee or the coach-coachee relationship, the immersion coaching, where we really can deep dive and get into it. I just think it's wonderful. So it's great that you're here. I know that you're not in your normal location, so I'll handle most of the duties today, but I can hear you pretty good, and you've got the sunlight going and all of that. So for our book, right, the very first section that we started with way back at the beginning of the year was the integrity game. The integrity game is a 10-point model to deliver personal and professional growth and soft skills. And we took those 10 points and made them the first 10 tips in the book to get structural integrity, foundation for being a speaker, building a speaking career, or pursuing goals with speaking as the strategy for pursuit. So after we got that foundation, then we went into section 2, which is bring out your brand. And that's when we're talking about promises and competitive advantages and differentiation and being proactive about controlling the narratives around your promises, services, expectations, core values that your brand promises stand on, all of that stuff that we talked about for 10 tips in a row in section 2, which leads us to where we are now, section 3. Now, section 3 is kind of cool for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's the first section that's truly just for speakers. And even though when I say that, non-speakers can get stuff out of this chapter as well, because we're talking about organizing thoughts and we're talking about treating content. We're actually getting into now 8 steps to fearless public speaking. So we started this section with 2 basic tips, right? It's not about you. And what was the other tip? Oh yeah, the real fear. Yeah.
It was the real fear.
Yeah, the real fear. So then last week, right? So here we go. Tip number 1 is it's not about you. Then in this section, then tip number 22 overall is the real fear of public speaking, which is not when you're on your feet speaking, it's actually preparing to speak and really embracing that vulnerability and that willingness to prepare, the confidence that anything that you prepare for, you're going to do better. And then last week we started the final 8 tips of this section. So the final 8 tips are all about speech writing, like actually constructing a speech. So last week, tip number 23 is declare your purpose. We talked about inform, entertain, or persuade, right? Forget public speaking for a second. Anything in life, it's good to know your purpose. And when we say declaring purpose again, we say declaring purpose again because, yeah, that's right. Purpose is the very first tip in the integrity game, right? So what's the purpose of the book? What's the purpose of the live stream? What's the purpose of my marriage? What's the purpose of being in Las Vegas right now? What's the purpose of the meeting? What's the purpose of the business? What's the purpose of the event? What's the purpose of the talk? So if you don't have that clear, I don't care if it's public speaking or anything else, then you might be out of integrity, right? If you don't know what the purpose is, then all of the decisions that you're making thereafter won't be tethered or connected to purpose. So instead of being purposeful, they could be purposeless or aimless or less productive and so forth. So it's always a good idea. So here we are, declaring purpose again. And when it comes to public speaking, there's only 3 purposes that you're choosing from. Is my main purpose to entertain people? Is my main purpose to inform people? Or is my main purpose to persuade people, to get people to take an action or stop taking an action? Once you have that, then every other decision that you make in preparing your talk should be tethered to that purpose. So that takes us to where we are today. Selecting a topic is tip number 24. So not just picking a topic like purpose, but topic. It's like, all right, what are you going to talk about? And we're going to get into the tip reading, the word for word, to really flesh this out. But before I do, let me just invite Patty or Sue. How are you guys? Do you have anything to share or anything to ask or anything to comment on before we get into the word for word reading of this week's tip?
Well, I think it's really interesting. Next week, I go to my annual karate conference, and its theme is purpose.
Okay.
Like the purpose of every move and everything you do with your body and your mind.
Yeah. It's it's hard to overstate how important purpose is. And of course, when we get into the 90-day challenge later on in the fall, I'm going to be doing all-star interviews in support of the 90-day challenge, the Integrity Game Group Coaching Program. We're going to talk about purpose. We're going to talk about the importance of purpose and what prevents people from declaring purpose. And then what are some strategies to be able to get into declarations of purpose? In public speaking, it's actually easier. Entertain, inform, or persuade, right? But outside of public speaking, we have like an enormity of purposes to choose from. And it gets a little bit different, a little bit more difficult. In public speaking, it's kind of easy. Are you trying to entertain, inform, or persuade? Right. What else? Anything else before we get started on the word for word?
I think tying it back to leading into this current tip that we're going to do word for word in a minute, when we were looking at purpose, it was to pick up on being effective in persuasion when we're speaking. Yep. And so that when we've taken the time to really understand what our purpose is in speaking and why we're there, we've created ourselves that North Star. And as you were saying, it keeps us tethered to that position, and then everything else that we do from there, which the outcome of that is we become way more persuasive.
Yeah, and the difference between
what we're speaking to.
Yeah, we talked last week about all communication is persuasive, right? All communication creates some sort of change, but most of the change that's created is in our minds. So effective persuasion is when there's so much change created in the minds that it spills over into action. So the measure of effective persuasion is whether or not people take action or change their behavior based on our persuasion. So, and this tip is going to be relatively brief today. So are you ready, you guys get ready to go through the word for word of it all?
Sure.
All right. So if you're following along at home, page 109 and Get a Clue in 52 for Speakers with co-author Sue Mathieson. Here we go. Tip number 24. Let me get the banner back up here. Tip number 24. I love the birds chirping in the background there, Sue. It's awesome. All right, here we go. Yeah. Selecting a topic, parentheses, naming your talk. I'll understand why that I'll explain why that differentiation is important. Here we go. So word for word on page 109. Obviously, we have to decide what we're going to talk about. Obviously, we have to decide what we're going to talk about. If you're a subject matter expert, professional, or a guru in some way, chances are you have a lot of options on what you could talk about in any given situation. For example, if you're like Sue and you want people to sign up for your course, what do you need to talk about that will give you the best opportunity to, quote, deliver your brand, as we discussed in the last section? What is the biggest difference or outcome that completing your course is going to make in their life? What is a topic you could speak about that will illuminate this need to take action for your audience? What does your audience need to know at this point in the field you're discussing? Remember what we have discussed already. As the expert, it is important that you do not rely on your jargon or keep your topic in jargon form. You will need to get outside of your expertise for a moment and turn your title into something that is more slogan-based. You want your topic, the part that is about you, to be serious, but your title, the part that is about your client's audience, must be catchy, attention-getting, or even sexy. The difference is as subtle as it is explosive. Your topic in your head will sound like jargon, but the title of your speech talk keynote needs to sound good in the heads of your prospects, clients, audiences. Ask yourself, how can I draw people in? What would make me want to hire me if I were them? And then...
So me, before I consider an answer to that, my summary of the discussion is that the topic, it fills a gap or a need for my audience and allows me to deliver on my brand promise. The title is what moves the audience to take action. Then what would make me want to hire me if I were them would be a feeling that, hey, she really gets me. She understands my pain and my desires.
Well, that's it in a nutshell. Did you see what Sue did there? She tied what she learned in all of our previous tips into this tip, coming up with a formula, if you will, that will guide her to the perfect topic that will address the needs of her audience and the action Sue wants them to take. She summarized it so well that there's nothing left I need to say. So I'll just leave you with a short recap of this 24th tip, which is step number 2 for fearless preparation. Pick your topic and choose an attention-gating title. I mean, that's it. Pick a topic, but choose an attention-gating topic. I'm going to go back to, I always read a little bit quick, but I want to go back, and here we go. On the previous paragraph, page 109, you want your topic, and that's in all caps. You want your topic the part that is about you to be serious. But your title, in all caps, the part that is about your clients or audience, you want that to be catchy, attention gaining, or even sexy. I mean, I'm going to tell you, I'm really, really happy with the integrity game as a topic, as a title for a keynote talk. I can tell you, thank you for nodding there, Patty. I love it. I'll tell you the story. Before the integrity game was a keynote at all, shout out to our friend Jim Rastusham, who referred me to the Specialty Advertising Association of California to do their keynote for their summer conference. And this was in 2020, pre-vax COVID. So it was going to be a virtual conference, and I was going to record the keynote, send it to them, and they would play it on day 5 of the conference. I'll never forget that when I was sending them, it's like the typical discourse when you're being considered to be a speaker is like, well, what topics have been spoken on the past? When you're proposing ideas to talk, you give them a little list of topics. Okay. Well, here's what we're talking about. I remember typing it up. I'm like, time management, goal setting, accountability, and all of these things that sound like either jargon or they were boring to me because I've looked at them for years and years and years, but they were the usual suspect topics, right? And so I decided that I wanted the list to look sexier. So I put the integrity game and I just put it in there thinking, at least make the list look good, And they replied back, they're like, what's this integrity game thing? And I'm like, oh no, now I got to create a keynote.
Yeah.
And, 4 years later, it's a brand, it's living and breathing. And I've delivered it in multiple countries and I've delivered it in multiple venues. And so, but people are attracted to the idea of the integrity game. It's catchy, it's succinct. People want to associate with integrity. People want to play games. But if I said, if the name of my talk, could you imagine, Sue and Patty, can you imagine if the name of my talk was how to deliver and receive accountability in non-threatening ways? Right? So my topic is non-threatening accountability, but my title is the integrity game. Right? And so you be fearless. The name of the ebook isn't, the 8 steps to prepare. It's just, it's be fearless. 8 steps to fearless public speaking. Right. So this fearless thing is what people want. Right. So I want to get out of my head. I know it's a stepwise process, but I got to imagine what's going on with my audience. What are they saying to themselves? They aren't saying I need an 8-step process. They're saying I'm afraid of public speaking. Does that make sense? Right. So what do you got? What do you got here for us, Patty? Got some feedback, some contribution?
Well, I do think it's very positive to put yourself into your audience and what they're looking for, because we all have what we've received, what we offer, but it's really getting in their brain to try and figure out how we can best help them. So I think that's a really key component of selecting your topic.
Yeah, I mean, I want to imagine what words people are actually using in their own heads, in their own self-talk, right? And if I can imagine that, and I'm pretty good at it as an empath, as a communication guy, as people, I've struggled through all the things that I'm trying to help other people with.
Right.
So right. But a lot of times it goes back to a lot of things that we've said before, Sue, where we want to be perfect. We want to get it right. We're afraid of making mistakes. We got to let go of all of that. Right. Yeah. And we got to trust ourselves. But what you were it sounded like you had something more to say, Patty. Go ahead.
Well, the one thing I was going to say is, I always kept hearing people say, get out of your own way, or I want to get out of my own way. And so I've really been listening for that and diving into what does that really mean, because it can be kind of jargon, get out of your own way. Well, what the heck does that really mean, Yeah. So
I say
into that topic.
Yeah, well, I say it a lot. Like, let's do a checkup from the neck up to get you out of your own way.
Right.
And so what that really means is, you know what it means is the limiting beliefs, the fears, the patterns, the habits, the emotional addictions, right? Those are the things. But guess what? somebody who knows they're stuck, somebody who knows they're underachieving, somebody who knows they're not taking action, somebody who knows that their to-do list just carries over items from day to day to day to day to day, and they're not, right? They're hoping, wishing, dreaming rather than achieving. Somebody that knows that they are in their own way is going to hear it. When you say, "Oh, get you out of your own way," they go, "Oh yeah," and they'll know, right? So, but I was being interviewed on a podcast 2 days ago, and it's like a former Navy guy who's got he's had like 8 different manufacturing businesses. He's currently got a manufacturing business. He's done some coaching, and oh, by the way, he's getting his PhD right now in organizational development. And so he does his podcast, produces himself. He's getting a PhD, and he's got a manufacturing company. Like, and he's had several companies. Like, this guy's type A alpha, right? You go. So if he was in the audience and I say, "Hey, get you out of your own way," he's going to be like, "What are you talking about? Nothing's in my, I don't know what you mean." So, but we know that entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, micro business owners, people that were in corporate and are trying to build their careers, or real estate agents, top producing sales professionals, people that don't have systematic and structured accountability, got to hold themselves accountable and build their own desk or build their, right? We all know, right, that we are in our own way, right? But, to your point though, Patty, the one that I'm peeved by, right? You know what I hear people say a lot, and I'm like, they go, "Hey, we're going to, if you really want to take your business to the next level."
Oh, good. I'm so sick
Oh,
of
it. God. I'm like, wait, the next level. Well, if you were on the next level, how would you know? What does it look like on the next level? What does it look like on your level? Can you define these levels? Describe these levels? What is the next level? Now, I like level up better than take you to the next level. But anyway, there's, these words, and there's a lot of words that get watered down because of connotative usage. It's amazing to me also how people, like, somehow, some way it became becoming or appropriate to like refer to ourselves as procrastinators. "Oh, I'm such a procrastinator. Oh, I procrastinate on that. Oh, I procrastinate all the time." People like willingly call themselves procrastinating. Hey, hello, it's not a very becoming adjective. and that's if it's accurate. That's if you're using it accurately. And I'm like, "Hey, you mean procrastinator? You mean you haven't finished?" "Oh, I'm procrastinating on that." "You mean you're not doing it?" Like, people are lying to themselves using this procrastination word, right? I'd rather just people say, "Look, I haven't done the thing yet." Anyway.
Right. I always reframe procrastinate as just finding the right time to do something.
Yeah. So, back to accountability and decommit and recommit. But the purpose of today's tip is to make sure that this distinction between the topic and the title is really important. What's the difference between a topic? A topic is the land of subject matter expertise, and that's what you know about. But the title has to create that transformation from the jargon, from the real subject matter expertise to digestible, sexy, attention gaining. Oh, I think I want to see that. I was going to pull this up. Sue, it seems like you have something that you want to share real quick, Sue?
Yeah. I was just thinking, in terms of actually helping to decide on a title, if using "Be Fearless," which is the title of this section, as an example, and to maybe help, like, when you as a speaker, when you're trying to come up with what's a catchy title, what I've noticed is, because you want that transformation, there's movement in that, is looking for a verb and then an adverb, to, like, if you're writing a list of words to help get that catchy title. What are your thoughts on framing it around that structure of the language, to think about, okay, what's verb, what adverbs that I can put together to get that sense of action?
Yeah, I'm never that formal per se, because, like, one of my gifts is I'm just wordsmithy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, from the very, very, very emotional. But I would encourage you. It'd be fun to work on a project like that. I think that, again, same principles, right? If I'm going to use, like an adverb and communicate action, I still want to imagine the audience and imagine what the audience is imagining regarding the action they either know they want to take, or they know they're not taking, or what have you, right?
Oh, certainly. And I don't think it takes away from all of that initial work of, like, if you're speaking, say I'm speaking at an event, is spending the time with the event coordinator to understand who is my audience,
Mm-hmm.
where are they coming from, get some idea of who I'm speaking to at least start to formulate ideas around the needs and the gaps and what is the expectation of the event coordinator, what's the outcome that they're looking for,
Yeah.
doing all of that preparation doesn't take
Mm-hmm.
away any of that, but I was thinking just in terms of that specific coming up with a catchy title. Yeah.
Well, for me, I don't look at the structure of language as much as I do the power of emotion for me. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? And I think
Yeah.
that, you can look at language structure and combinations of words, adjectives, adverb, noun, you can look at that, but that's almost like too technical for me, right? Like,
Yeah.
for me, I focus on pleasure and pain, right? Like, let me give you an example. This was I was going to show from. Are you guys ready? Drum roll, please. Let me see if I can do this. Tell me if you could see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Coming up.
Okay. So this is my media kit. Can you see this? This is what I would send to prospective, right? Soft skills for strong leaders, teams, and organizations. There we go. Integrity game. But then, like, here we go. Topic suggestions, right? Topic versus title. And I'm saying topic, right? But, like, check up from the neck up, right? Be a likable boss. Companies need coaching. Avoid hiring mistakes. That speaks to me, right? There's business owners that have made hiring mistakes. They're afraid to hire. They make bad hires, right? So I'm focusing on, like, ethical. That's pleasure, right? Resolution. That's relief, right? Likable. Do you see? There's emotion in here. Is what I'm trying to get at with some of these topic
Yeah.
suggestions. And then what's interesting is, like, how these podcast hosts, right? How they do it, right? Get your leaders into the integrity game with incorporating. Well, see, they you know what I mean? They're speaking to their audience. Your brand is your promise. All right, what is it? The secret of inspiring, motivating, influence, and persuasion with Jeff Klubeck, right? So all of these people, they were taking what I brought, which is the integrity game, and then they had to figure out how they're going to title that episode in a way that gets their audience to listen to it. Does that make sense? So look, the spider talk. Does that make you want to check it out? Right? Here we go. How to get out of your own way. There it is. Right? But I didn't come up with that, Patty. I just want to let you know. Dr. Elena came up with that, right? The integrity game with, get down to business with, playing the integrity game. I like this. The brain does not brain. What's that? That's right.
Yeah, you want to be a little disruptive sometimes in your title.
You got it. A little bit. A little. Yeah. You want to take some chances and play around with it. I'm going to stop sharing now, but you guys get the idea. Like, and that's just a sampling, of course, right?
Yeah.
So what else? What else for today? I'm in Las Vegas, by the way. You guys, I'm just going to let you guys briefly know, because I know you guys love me and care about me so much. But my brother found out that, it's even hard to say, but my brother found out that he's got a cancer on his liver. So he had his first oncologist appointment. Yeah, he had his first oncologist appointment on Tuesday, which was not very revealing. He's got to do tests and scans, and we still have to find out where it's at and how bad it is and what stage. But I came here to Vegas to be with him and support him. So I'm out of my element. I'm in a hotel room right now. And by the way, back to hotel rooms in Vegas. That's where I delivered the first integrity game keynote in summer 2020 when I was dealing with my parents passing. So, I've got those things on my mind, but I'm out of my element. Why do I say all of that? Not to go down a sadness rabbit hole, but I'm happy to end the session early so I can move towards checking out of the hotel and seeing my brother down the street in a little bit. But so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring it up. Last call for comments, questions, jokes, riddles, haikus, expressions of gratitude, anything like that. As we move towards, we budget these things for 45 minutes every week. We don't always have to go 45 minutes. It was a very brief tip today. And again, back to the summary, we want to determine our purpose for delivering the speech. Then we want to pick a topic. And what we're going to do next week is we're going to start to break that topic down into what we have time to talk about, because every single topic is a bottomless pit. We could talk for hours on hours on hours on hours on any topic under the sun. So today we're talking about picking a topic and naming the topic, making sure it's sexy. But what we're going to get into next week is where we break the topic down into our main points. What are the 3 main points, for example? Like, we got to be okay with what we're not going to talk about in exchange for a focus on what we will. So we're going to organize our thoughts and start to calibrate and really hone in on a speech. One of the things that speakers make mistakes around is believing that they need to communicate everything, and they don't. You don't have to communicate everything. How long do your legs have to be? Long enough to touch the ground. What's the purpose of the speech? So communicate enough to achieve that purpose. People can do more research. They can learn more. They can get a hold of you later. They can schedule an appointment. You don't have to get it all in, right? You can get enough in order to meet your purpose. But that's where we're headed next week, and we'll talk about all of that. So last call for today, though: comments, questions, jokes, riddles, haikus, limericks, or expressions of gratitude.
I'm always grateful to be here.
Oh yeah, let's get some titling going for you, Patty Blakesley. There you are, the inner business coach, right? And you've done the back cover descriptions for all of the Get a Clue in 52 books. I appreciate that so much. While we're at it, little shout out to Lisa Reed, CEO of International Speakers Network. She wrote the foreword for the book, and I'm going to get to see her in person in about a week and a half at our event on June 25th. When Sue, you're going to be in town here in San Diego. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yes, I will be. Yes. Be fantastic. Be so good. So good.
Yeah, let me
see
bring
everyone face to face.
Yeah, let me just bring that up because it creates a cool visual. There it is. Are you ready? Bam. Right there it is. Authors Hour at the University Club on June 25th. Tickets are still available. It's $20 for non-members. It comes with light bites and a drink ticket. And I have the privilege of facilitating this incredible empowered panel of female authors: Lisa Reed, Diane Forster, and my co-author, Sue Mathieson. So I'm going to be asking all of the questions. When did you know you wanted to write a book? What was the writing process like? What was the publishing process like? How do you market the book? How do you sell the book? How do you leverage the book for additional opportunities? Okay, go. So you're going to answer all of those questions. And then I'm going to pivot and try to include, the audience. Like, in the audience, I expect there to be aspiring or emerging authors, people that have a book inside of them but are curious about the process. And so hopefully we'll inspire people to get their voice heard, get their message out into the world. Everybody has a book inside of them, but nobody should die with that book inside of them. So we're going to raise money for the Lamp of Learning Scholarship Fund, and we're going to have great pictures. We're going to play dress up and get nice, business networking evening pictures. And the hugs are going to be heard around the world, because it'll be the first time. I've known Lisa for a couple of years, but we've never met in person. And I've known you, Sue, for like 7 years now, and haven't seen you in person in at least 5 years. And
that's right.
So the hugs will be heard around the world, is what I'm saying. And Patty, I wish we could teleport you in for the event. It's going to be great. But I just thought I would do a little plug there. And as a matter of fact, let me stop sharing, and I can create one more banner here. If anybody wants to register for Authors Hour, I should put that up. Register for Authors Hour. www.tinyurl.com/TIG Authors HR.
Awesome.
So there it is. Boom. Register for Authors Hour. Tiny. Oh, I got to edit it. Tiny. See what happens when it goes so fast? Okay, save. I should be able to save that now. Save and display. There it is. tinyurl.com/TIG Authors HR. That's the Integrity Game Authors Hour. So the Integrity Game is sponsoring the event, right? I've put a lot of time and phone calls and planning, and I've jumped through some hoops to get approved by the University Club to get the room and get all of that stuff hammered out. And we got the photographers lined up and the panelists, and I've been promoting everywhere I go when I'm speaking or when I'm introducing myself at networking events. Hey, everybody, Authors Hour. So registrations are starting to come in, but we got plenty of room for you. If you're going to be in San Diego, I always like to say 1,001 reasons to be in San Diego on June 25th. Like, if you didn't have enough reasons to come to San Diego in June, now you've got another, and join us for some evening networking. So, all right, there we go. There's that. What else? We're still in last call. Any comments or questions, you guys?
Just so good to be stateside. Jeff, I wish you well with your brother, and I hope all goes okay there. Patty, wonderful to see you online. I've missed you. Really
you
have.
too.
So, yeah. And today I want to give a shout out to the Scotts Valley track team who will be competing in the athletics meet, and wish them well. They're running in relays, and my nephew Aaron will be in the 4x800 later tonight. So very excited to actually see him running.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Well, America's glad you're here, Sue. And
Thank you.
SoCal, we have to wait our turn, but we're waiting patiently, and you'll be down here soon enough. That'd be great. But
I will be.
Yeah, we'll have one more tip next week, tip number 25 overall. And then you'll be in town after that. So I'll see you online next week, and we can trade some communication throughout the week. Patty, do you have anything else that you want to add or share, or before we just today?
Ditto what Sue said about your brother.
Thank you guys. You know how much I love you guys and appreciate all the love. It's easy to be vulnerable and share something like that with you guys, because I know it's just pure love and support. So I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Yeah, and for those of you out there, that were able to chime in and get something out of this tip, if you want to, reach out to us one-on-one, if you want to get any of our, our 2 complimentary coaching sessions, or if you have an idea that you want to bounce off, or if you have a topic or a title or something that you want to get some feedback on, if there's anything that we can do to support you out there, we want to. That's what we're all about. So having said all of that, I'm ready to wrap up. Get a Clue in 52 for speakers. This was tip number 24 overall. So can you believe it? Next week, we'll be halfway through this section. It just keeps on going, Sue. All right. So thank you for joining, Patty. Thank you, Sue. Enjoy the United States of America. And we'll see everybody online next week for tip number 25.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.